On May 2nd, get ready to escape. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and e-readers this May 2nd. Recently, former Smallville actress Allison Mack was arrested for allegedly participating in a sex trafficking ring. Now, as many comic fans and Superman enthusiasts know, Allison Mack played Chloe Sullivan on the CW Superman prequel Smallville for 10 seasons. And this is a major surprise for many comic fans who thought that Allison Mack was just as sweet-natured and kind as the Chloe Sullivan character she portrayed. But what many people just don't understand is that many people in Hollywood are often the exact polar opposite of the characters that they portray on television. And when it comes down to many people in Hollywood, many are actual sexual deviants behind the scenes. Now, I've heard this story featuring Allison Mack, and it seems like she got caught up in this NXIVM group, a cult here in upstate New York. Now, this NXIVM group is led by this charismatic cult leader, and he has managed to get many celebrity women to participate in his sex ring, promising them resources. Well, he usually just gets resources out of these women in exchange for being one of his sex partners. And as part of this group, it is alleged that Allison Mack managed to be in this group, recruiting women to be a part of this NXIVM group, providing economic and financial resources to this cult leader, and being a sex slave in the group, being branded to show their loyalty to be a part of this group, and also starving themselves to be a part of this group, and being part of groups that shamed other women for being a certain weight or to get their weight down to the standards of this cult leader. And as I stated before, sexual deviancy is just par for the course when it comes down to Hollywood and the entertainment industry. And that's why I'm not really surprised by this arrest of Allison Mack, because it's just par for the course when it comes down to Hollywood. Because anyone who knows the entertainment industry knows that oftentimes behind the scenes, many of these performers, producers, actors, and many production people participate in all sorts of sexual deviancy behind the scenes. And that's why I wasn't really fazed, because as a guy who has studied the entertainment industry for 25 years, I have seen all sorts of scandals go on, and I have heard about many actors participating in sex rings like this, or being part of groups like swingers, or going out here and frequenting prostitutes, or like Bill Cosby, having a whole string of side pieces. So when it comes down to Hollywood, many people in Hollywood are sexually deviant, and they participate in sexually deviant behavior. When you look at Hollywood, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Allison Mack, and many others, they're just the tip of the iceberg as it relates to sexual deviancy, because this has been a part of the history of Hollywood. I mean, I can even go back to the late Adam West, who was known for years to be a womanizer and known to have numerous sexual fetishes, but no one talked about it because everyone liked Batman, and they liked the 1966 Batman, so most people usually just don't talk about that aspect of Adam West's life. And Bob Crane from Hogan's Heroes was also a sexual deviant for many years, and many people kept that under wraps. Sexual deviancy in Hollywood is a social norm, and oftentimes many of your favorite actresses, they have gone out here and they have slept with producers, they have slept with directors, all to get parts. So this is just par for the course, and a lot of comic fans, they're freaked out about finding out about Allison Mack and what she has done with this ring, recruiting women to be sex slaves and sex partners with this cult leader. But this is just another day at the office for those in Hollywood, because a lot of people behind the scenes in Hollywood, they participate in all sorts of sexual deviancy because when it comes down to sex for many of these people in Hollywood, sex is not about pleasure, it is all about power and the ability to have power and control over others and be able to dictate what those people do. Because when it comes down to many of these power players, they use sex as a way to have power and control over others. What Allison Mack's big mistake was that she got caught up in this sex ring, and she went out here and was a part of this sex ring, recruiting women in, and then being, what as I see it, the fall guy for this cult leader. Because the only reason why she's being singled out is because they have records on her, and they don't have records on this leader. Because when it comes down to these sexual deviants, they oftentimes make sure that they have someone there to be the fall guy, to take the fall like Allison Mack, so that they can continue going on and participating in their sexual deviancy. And this is, again, par for the course when it comes down to the entertainment industry. If, again, Hollywood is like a hot dog factory, and if you knew how many of your favorite actors got down behind the scenes, it would make you puke. Many of these good, wholesome people participate in all sorts of sexually deviant behaviors in Hollywood, and many more just don't want it to come out. All you have to do is Google their names, and you'll start to see a lot of rumors being spread about these people, but then a lot of people dismiss them because they're published in tabloids or published on blogs. But oftentimes, usually they find out later on that a lot of those rumors were actually true regarding many of these people. Because a couple of years ago, they said actress Jerry Ryan's husband was a swinger, and she played Seven of Nine in Star Trek Voyager. Again, when it comes down to many of these performers we watch on screen, they are the polar opposite of who they are. And this is something I wrote about in All About Marilyn, the screenplay I wrote back in 2007, and I published in 2009. And a lot of people, they think, again, Hollywood, they're shocked about this, but I'm not really shocked about this because I understand the entertainment industry and I understand the entertainment business, and I understand that a lot of these performers, they do things behind the scenes that are quite troubling, and what they do is they pay a lot of money to have them buried and cover it up. What happened with Allison Mack was she probably ran out of money and couldn't get it covered up, or she participated in a crime so heinous that it couldn't be covered up anymore, and they just decided to pull the wool over it, and that's what led to her winding up being arrested on federal charges for sex trafficking, in recruiting these women to be sex slaves for this cult leader, and taking money from those women and as part of the whole thing, because that's what led to her getting these federal charges. But this goes on all the time in Hollywood. There are all sorts of weird, sexually deviant people in Hollywood, and we sit there and we glamorize these people. We put them on pedestals. But again, if we knew what they really were and what they really were all about, a lot of us would not be watching television like we used to, and we wouldn't be idolizing them. And I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of people in the comic book world are upset is they did not expect this to come from someone who played someone who was as sweet and innocent as Chloe Sullivan. Now, again, I know actors and entertainment, and I know that oftentimes people are playing the polar opposite of who they are, and the role that they play oftentimes is not who they are in real life. So when I heard this news, that's why I was really indifferent to it, because again, I know what this Hollywood is, I know how dirty that business is, and one of the reasons why I didn't want anything to do with it after I found out the truth about it was I just did not want to go into a business like this, because the compromises you have to make to be a part of that entertainment industry, they can scar your spirit and tarnish your soul, and they are so horrific that nobody with a moral position would ever want to be a part of that business, because the compromises people make and the things that people do, these people have a lot of skeleton bones buried in their closets, and these people have and some of them have graveyards, dedicated to all sorts of things they have done in their past. And usually it takes a long time for those bones to become unearthed, like in the case of a Bill Cosby or a Harvey Weinstein, where the graveyards of all the bones of the bodies they have buried have been revealed. But in the case of Allison Mack, it looks like it just caught up with her uh, 8 or 7 years later after Smallville was canceled. And that's usually what happens to many of these performers, is that usually after they wind up fading or wind up dying, what happens is all of the skeleton bones that they have participated in wind up getting unearthed, and people find out horrible truths about the performers they used to admire and look up to. But as a guy who knows the business of entertainment and knows that actors aren't who they are on television, this news really didn't faze me, because I know for a fact that Hollywood is a dirty town. It is a town full of perverts. It is a town full of sexual deviants. It is a town full of female predators looking for simps and men to take advantage of so they can get opportunities at parts and roles on the casting couch, or to be side pieces. And Allison Mack being a part of this sex ring, this is just par for the course for Hollywood. And most people, if you really want to see Hollywood change, then you need to start changing the channel or turning off the television, because the only way to stop this type of behavior is to stop supporting this kind of media. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJ Strict publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, and the Temptation of John Haynes and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.